As a board-certified geropsychologist, the information in this video is some of the most important information I wish every dementia caregiver was given at the moment they found out about their loved one's diagnosis. Because without knowing this information, caregiving is going to be so much harder. I've done hundreds of training videos right here on this channel, but I'm about to say something I have never said before in any of those videos. Learning what not to do with someone who has dementia is more important than knowing what to do with someone who has dementia, especially in the beginning. Let me say that again. Knowing what to avoid is more important, especially in the beginning of your caregiving journey, than it is to know what to do. Here's why. By the time many dementia caregivers come to me, they are totally at their wits' end. They're telling me they're not sure what to do. They feel like they're failing. Nothing is working. The person with dementia is pushing back against everything they're trying to do, and they think nothing works. Most of the time, when we dig a little bit further, we find out that they have been doing what many dementia caregivers are doing, and what I like to call 5 top caregiving mistakes that are making your dementia caregiving journey so much more difficult than it needs to be. And the reason their situation feels so difficult and that nothing has been working is because they've been making these mistakes for years by the time they've come to me. Here's what I want to share with you in this video. The sooner you stop making these 5 mistakes, the better, the more enjoyable, and the easier your caregiving journey will become. And let me be very clear. These mistakes are not something to beat yourself up over. How in the world are you supposed to know what to do and what to avoid when most of the providers in the healthcare industry have 0 to little training in dementia themselves? And the people who actually do have training in dementia, they're restricted to 15, 20, maybe 30-minute appointments. There's just no time in the structure of our current system to be able to give caregivers all of this information in a short appointment. It is not your fault. The system has basically set dementia caregivers up for failure at the very beginning. The current standard that we accept as decent dementia care in this country is basically somebody gets a diagnosis of dementia, they're probably put on a medication like Aricept or donepezil, and then they're sent away with a follow-up appointment in 6 months to 12 months. And if you are actually somebody who cares about the person you're caring for and cares about getting good care, then you know that is not good enough. You probably weren't even told the specific type of dementia, the stage of dementia, the common symptoms and challenges you might be facing and how to respond to them and overcome them. You probably weren't even given basic information about what to expect now that your person has dementia. Needless to say, I think our current healthcare system is pretty poor when it comes to supporting family members caring for someone with dementia. And if you are actually somebody who cares about the person you're caring for, then you probably feel the same as me. Let's change all of that starting today with the top 5 dementia caregiving mistakes, making things so much more difficult for you. Here's why these 5 things are so important. Because the more you do them, the harder caregiving is going to be, because your relationship with the person is going to become strained to the point that the person with dementia is going to resist your care, maybe not even enjoy having you around, starts to think you're treating them like a child, and your whole entire days are spent trying to convince them or change them or help them. Meanwhile, they want nothing to do with you. It starts here. I'm guessing right now you're probably making at least 1, if not more, of these mistakes. And mistake number 5 is something I have personally seen every single dementia caregiver I have ever worked with make. And because dementia gets worse and it progresses, your person is going to need more and more care from you. So if you're making these mistakes, making them want to pull away from you, making them not like you, not trust you, be suspicious of you, it's going to be even that much more difficult for you down the line. Mistake number 1 is do not remind them of the disease. It's easy to think that somehow reminding the person that they have dementia will somehow get them to accept our help, get them to change something they're doing, get them to stop doing something that they're doing, when in all reality, it usually does none of that. It usually makes them more upset with you. Mistake number 2, don't highlight their need for help. If your loved one has dementia, they are absolutely going to need help from you. And as the disease progresses, they're going to need even more help from you. You have the funds to be able to pay for in-home care or pay for a care facility, which according to a 2021 survey, a memory care facility runs about $260 a day on average, or over $7,800 a month. So unless you can afford that, you are going to be doing most of this care on your own. And you probably want to be doing it as long as possible, but in a way that supports you and doesn't feel so challenging. That way you can save approximately $90,000 a year that you would otherwise be paying in a care facility. So whenever we highlight the fact that the person with dementia needs help, it usually upsets them. It doesn't make them feel good, and they start to retreat. This is where you start to see people with dementia do really well with the family members and visitors who are hardly ever around, and they come by for a visit and they seem spunky and happy and talkative, and they seem like a lot of their problems got better during that visit. Well, it's because those people have not been highlighting. They're not a reminder to the person with dementia that they're constantly needing help, like you might be reminding your loved one with dementia. It's important to understand that people with dementia often do not understand they have dementia. So we don't want to remind them. They're still not going to get it. They're still not going to understand. It just hurts the relationship. Helping them in all the different areas in an obvious way is not a good idea. Try to consider what are things you can do to provide the help and the level of supervision needed without calling their attention to it. How can you just make it a natural part of your day? Something that you were going to do anyway, something that maybe they don't even realize you're doing is helping them. Mistake number 3, don't correct them. A person with dementia is going to get things wrong. They're going to do things inefficiently. They're going to approach tasks and say things that either aren't true or approach a task that doesn't make much sense to you. They're going to have some struggles. That's the nature of the disease. Every time you correct them when it's not necessary, and the majority of the time it is not necessary, you are hurting the relationship, which is going to hurt your chances of them being agreeable and accepting of your help now and in the future. It's just going to make it less likely that they want to be around you or accept your help. Doesn't it just make sense when we say it that way? Like when you're constantly correcting someone, you probably don't want to spend that much time with them. Probably the same for you. It just makes sense that we don't really want to do this. So unless safety is an issue, you can pretty much stop correcting them. Mistake number 4. I'm abbreviating now, but don't make everything about caregiving. This is so easy to do. When a family member gets dementia, really good-hearted caregivers, they hop right in and they want to do everything they can to help. They jump into caregiving mode. They do all of the things. And obviously, you are going to need to do some things. But when your entire day becomes consumed with doing caregiving to the point that the relationship of mother-daughter, father-son, spouse, partner, right? When the actual relationship you have with the person with dementia starts to take a back seat and everything becomes about caregiving, this can hurt the relationship and make it more difficult if the person wants to accept your help. You basically lose the fun you have with your loved one. You lose enjoyable moments. The entire day just becomes like work or a drain or stressful, and there's no real human-to-human connection. I was talking to a Dementia Care Club member recently, and she said, it's given me more direction in how to help my mom. And now when I'm with her, we can do fun stuff. The program helped me make a decision to change the way I approach my time with my mom. It's improved the quality of time I have with her. I promise that no matter how severe the dementia, no matter what the ability levels are of the person you're caring for, there is still opportunity for fun and for human-to-human connection that does not revolve around caregiving. And I would highly recommend doing something like that every chance you get. The majority of caregivers in the general population, they don't even think this is possible. They are so consumed and stressed out with caregiving, real life errands, maybe raising kids, maybe having a job, that the idea that they could do something that is for fun and enjoyable and has nothing to do with caregiving, it seems unrealistic, but it's not. Part of the problem is they've been making so many these mistakes for so long, time after time, that everything has become such a battle with the person with dementia. The person with dementia is not as agreeable as they could be. Everything just seems to be a big fight and a big strain, but I promise you it's possible. Even if You are somebody in a relationship right now already where it feels like it's impossible to have enjoyable moments and the person is resisting everything you do. Do not give up hope. It is possible to turn that around. I've seen hundreds of my Dementia Care Club members do that very thing. And finally, mistake number 5. Mistake number 5, don't make all of the natural things that are going to occur in the caregiving journey mean something personal against you or the person with dementia. I see this happen all the time. Here's the honest truth. There will be hard times. Whether you have all the strategies, resources, tools, and the best treatment team ever, you are still going to face hard, difficult times as a caregiver. And guess what? As a human being, even if you weren't caregiving, this is just called being a human in life. There are going to be some challenges and obstacles. There will be times when the person with dementia just doesn't want any help. There will be times when the person with dementia is just having a bad day, just like you and I have a bad day from time to time. I get hundreds of messages a day through social media where caregivers are telling me things like, I feel so incompetent. I'm failing. I'm doing it all wrong. And they think that because they're not getting the reaction they want from their person with dementia all the time. Now, obviously, if you're doing any of these things, reducing them is going to make things better for you. But even if you're doing everything right, everything in the best approach and response possible, there are still going to be times when the person with dementia just responds in a way that isn't really great. And you don't have to make it mean that you are doing something awful. You don't have to make it mean that you're failing. You also don't have to make it mean that the person with dementia is being hard or difficult on purpose. Believing that is absolutely going to keep the relationship strained, and it's going to cause so much anger and resentment in you, which very clearly is not going to help the caregiving journey. When things get really, really difficult, don't make it about you or the person with dementia. Make it about the disease and how difficult that is. Don't take it personally. Okay, there you have it. The 5 top biggest mistakes that I think every caregiver should be warned about and told about as soon as somebody gets diagnosed with dementia. If more people were told about this, it could reduce so much unnecessary suffering, because these mistakes over the course of years and years and years is building up to make the super difficult situations caregivers are faced with right now. And if you actually care about your loved one with dementia, if you actually care about the relationship you have with them and about yourself, I invite you to join me in an upcoming free class on how to successfully respond to challenging, difficult dementia-related behaviors. There's a link for you to click and sign up in the description of this video. I hope to see you there. Also, while you're at it, let me know which of the top 5 mistakes was your favorite and where you're going to focus and make an effort on reducing as much as possible. Bye.
Also, Nico gets a belly rub for every person who subscribes from this video. So if you haven't already, click the red subscribe button. It's totally free. And Nico says, thank you very much.